Good evening, and welcome to day 12 of 40 Days of Bible Study and Prayer, where we are going over the lies that the devil tells us, that we tell ourselves, or that society tells us, and we are looking for the truth in the Bible and praying about it. I want to apologize, first of all, that I did not post these past 3 days. Um, I had to end up working overnight and also had a lot of things going on with my daughter at school, so in this past 3 days, I only got about 7 hours of sleep total over 3 days. So I was very, very tired. And then I've been very sick too. Um, so I've had a lot of coughing, and it's hard to get through a whole conversation without having a coughing fit. So I think I'll be okay tonight. Pray that I'll be okay tonight. And again, I apologize for missing 3 days. That was never my intention, but um, it's as tough as it was to come back today because I wanted to again say I'm still coughing, so let's cancel one more day. No, you know, I can't. That happened with work, with my daughter, with me being sick, and excuse me. But we must continue. So, excuse me. Tonight's lie is actually it's a bunch of lies put into one because you can fill in the blanks with anything pretty much after this lie. So the lie that we tell ourselves is compared to everyone else, I dot dot dot. And the reason I left dot 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 is because you could really fill in the blanks with so many things. Compared to everyone else, I barely have anything. Compared to everyone else, I'm not as pretty. Compared to everyone else, the car I drive is horrible. Compared to everyone else, I'm not as gifted. Compared to everyone else, I'm just not good enough compared to everyone else, and so on, right? You could fill in the blanks endlessly. And then on the reverse of that, you could also say, compared to everyone else, I'm so much better than them. Compared to everyone else, I have more money in my bank account. Compared to everyone else, I have more value. Compared to everyone else, um, I deserve more. It can go both ways. It's either compared to everyone else, I'm lacking, or compared to everyone else, I'm better or I've got more. It goes both ways. And the truth is that comparison, while it can be helpful, depending on what you're comparing, comparison, more than likely, it can lead to envy, jealousy, pride, and other ungodly feelings. So it's really something that we should stay away from. We should stay away from comparing, unless we're comparing ourselves to ourselves, in an attempt to be better people. We should stay away from it. You know, I think it was Theodore Roosevelt that said comparison is a thief of joy. That's not in the Bible. That's nothing biblical, but it's a really relevant quote, that it's the thief of joy because it really can steal your joy if you're constantly comparing yourselves to those around you. Most of the time, when we are comparing ourselves, either negatively or positively, it's something to do with the world. It has something to do with success by the world standards. You know, I don't have as much money, so we think that having more money is better, or I don't think that I'm as beautiful as somebody else, assuming that beauty is only skin deep. You know, I'm better than somebody else, assuming that that's even a possibility. I have more value than somebody else, assuming right there that you know that everyone has unequal value. You know, all of those thoughts again, all of those things, all of those lead to other sins such as envy, jealousy, pride, and other feelings, anger, frustration, depression, all of those things. Anything that leads us off the path, you know, comparison can lead to all of those things. It can steal our joy. It really can. And that's not something that we want to do, right? It's not something that we want. We should not be comparing ourselves with each other. Galatians 1 verse 10 says, "Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ." When we are trying to get people's approval, or when we're trying to keep up with the Joneses, or when we're trying to compare ourselves, um, we're just acting like mere human beings. We're trying to please other people. We're trying to please the world. And when we do that, we're not following Christ. Because life is not supposed to be about having more stuff or having better things or having, you know, more money or anything of that sort. That walking the line for Christ doesn't include any of that. That's all something that the world tells us. That's something a society tells us that we're supposed to have this, and this, you know. And don't get me wrong, I succumb to this constantly. I am constantly trying to I constantly find myself wanting to win the approval of other humans, at work, even with my children, trying to get their approval. Um, I feel less than so many times. I do find myself comparing myself to other people. You know, I'm 48 years old. I've still never purchased a house before. I don't have my own house. Um, I have a smaller place to live than other people. You know, I weigh more than a lot of people. I don't have as much money as other people. Yeah, I find myself just basically uh, living by the world's standards. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I find myself constantly wanting to live by the world's standards and feeling less than if I don't meet those said standards. And that just keeps me from being satisfied and content with the blessings that God's given me. A few weeks ago, I said that really all we need is food. We don't even require shelter. We all we need is food. And as long as we've got full bellies, we should count ourselves blessed. Everything else is just something that's extra. Whether you want to call it a blessing or not, everything else is just extra. And so when we find ourselves feeling that way, when we find ourselves comparing ourselves to one another or wanting what somebody else has, um, or even thinking that we have better than others, thinking more highly of ourselves. We're caught up in the game of getting approval for human beings. The approval of human beings, and we're not supposed to be seeking that approval. We're supposed to be seeking approval from God, and that has nothing to do with what we have, what we look like, what kind of car we drive, what kind of house we have, how many degrees we have. Um, Nothing. None of that. God's not looking at any of that. He's only looking at, are we following him? Are we putting him first? Are we loving one another instead of comparing ourselves to one another? Are we helping one another? Are we spreading his word? Those are the things that we will be judged by, not everything else. So we just need to stop comparing. Stop comparing. It is doing nothing healthy for us. Unless we are, like I said before, comparing ourselves to ourselves in an attempt to be better, in an attempt to get better, in an attempt to do things in a more efficient or godly way. That's different. Comparison can be used in a healthy way, but more often than not, it just leads to a lot of unhealthy feelings. Galatians 6, verses 3 through 5 says, "If anyone thinks they are something when they are not, they deceive themselves. Each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone, without comparing themselves to someone else, for each one should carry their own load." When I was younger, I used to find myself, I guess, and I'm gonna be completely honest here, and this is not cool. I don't like that I did this, but when I was younger, I used to sometimes feel like I was better than other people because, I was book smart. I was intelligent by the world standards. I could memorize things really quickly. I got straight A's all the time, so I almost felt like I was superior to other people. And so it led to me being prideful about it, and I would get conceited about it. Sometimes so that people wouldn't even want to talk to me because I had this air of conceitedness to me, and it just put people off, rightfully so. That probably was not that was not cool at all, the way I was, the way I acted, and it led to so much pride. And pride can be a very bad thing. A very bad thing, you know. We shouldn't be thinking of ourselves as highly as other people because we're all filthy rags. We're all sinners. We're all equally disgusting as we are equally beautiful and valuable. It's like there's a complete equality when it comes to humans that I guess we just refuse to see. We refuse to want to see. We want to think of ourselves as better or sometimes less than others. We're scaling ourselves. We're putting our weighing ourselves on a scale that doesn't exist in God's eyes. It's not again not what He's looking for. We need to stop deceiving ourselves. If we're going to compare ourselves to anybody, it should be us. It should be our own selves in an attempt to walk the line for Him better, you know, not veer off, not go off course constantly, you know. We should not be comparing ourselves. It's going to lead to destruction, you know. It's going to lead to destruction. We should not doing it. We should not be doing that. James 3 verse 16 says, "For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice." This is absolutely true. It's absolutely true. When you compare yourselves to others and for a lack, right? Let's say you're comparing yourselves saying, I have a lack of this. I have less money than other people. I have, you know, not as nice stuff as other people. My car is not as new as somebody else's, or my house is not as big. Um, my clothes are not as trendy as others. When we have envy and we're wanting to just be better, like have our own selfish ambition, there's just disorder. It really is. And every evil practice because you begin thinking evil thoughts, jealousy, envy, pride, all of that. Those are all evil thoughts. And it brews in our minds. It really brews in our minds to where we start making bad decisions based off of that. There's a lot of people who commit crimes because they want what others have. They want to fulfill, they have this ambition for self. They want for themselves. You know, there's people who take things from other people. They kill people for this, for other stuff, for stuff that they don't have. Again, because they're envious. One of the commandments says, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife." There's people who covet others' possessions or the people in their lives. Again, out of comparison, comparing, feeling like what we have is not enough, that we need more, that we need more. We need to have things that are equal to others. When this world is just, quite honestly, it's evil, right? The world is evil. And a lot of it is based off of envy and jealousy, self ambition. It's everywhere around us. We say the world's an evil place because everybody is self serving. Everybody's trying to get their own. Everybody's trying to look out for themselves. to make their lives better, to make their families better, to get more, to get the bag, as people call it, you know, all so many things that people seek, thinking that it's going to bring them some sort of happiness or give them a feeling of superiority or make them feel like they're more than instead of less than. And doing that, it just takes us so far off the path. So far off the path. So we really should stop. We need to stop the envy. We need to stop being jealous. We need to stop the comparison. It does nothing, nothing, nothing for us. I love this one right here. Proverbs 14, verse 30 says, "A heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones." It really, really does. Like I said, I'm very, very, very guilty of this. I'm very guilty of being envious of others because for so long I've compared myself to the people around me in terms of what I have, what I don't have, my possessions, beauty, clothing, college degrees, everything, you name it. At work, I used to get jealous of people all the time. Like, I'm working hard. How come they get to just move up so quickly? How come I can't have this? Why don't I have this? Compared to everybody else, I'm not this. Compared to everybody, I mean, I've lived my life being jealous and envious of other people because I felt like by this time in my life, I should have certain things already. I should have a certain lifestyle already. I should already have a house. You know, I should already have this or that. I should already have a huge retirement and savings fund. You know, I have this idea of what I'm supposed to have by a certain point, and I keep comparing myself to everybody around me, and it's done nothing but, like Roosevelt said, stolen my joy. I've not been able to be happy or find contentment because I feel like I don't have what I should have. And this is again going by the world standards, thinking that we are supposed to have a certain lifestyle or that we're supposed to have certain things by a certain age, by a certain time. It's all fake. It's all a facade. Everything that we're told, everything the society tells us about this, about success, about, having stuff, materialism, it's all just a lie. It's a huge, huge lie. This is not what our life is supposed to be about. These are not the things that we're supposed to be aiming for. These are not the things that we're supposed to take pride in. We're supposed to take pride in being able to walk the walk with Christ without veering off. That's something to be prideful about. To be able to say, hey, you know what? Today, I actually did what I was supposed to do. I loved the person, next to me, the unlovable. I was there for people. I listened to people. I, those are the things we should be boasting about because they're godly things. They're attributes that God has. We're made in His image. So every time we're being conceited or envious or prideful or all of that, we're not living in His image at all. And it's not getting us any closer to the kingdom at all. We're not getting any closer to it. We're moving further and further away from it. So for our sake, for our salvation, for our walk with God, we need to stop this. We need to stop this game of having more, being more. It's not doing anything good for us at all. And the final verse for tonight is 1 Corinthians 3, verse 3. You're still worldly. For since there is jealousy and quarreling among you, are you not worldly? Are you not acting like mere humans? I just said we were made in His image. We were made in God's image, and God is not human. But by being jealous of others, by quarreling, We're being worldly. We're living in the world and trying to please the world. We're so much more than that. Our value is not tied to any kind of possessions. Our value is tied to the fact that we are followers of Christ and that we love each other. That's the value. That is our value. Everything else is just a lie. Any other ambition we have is purely a lie. Let us not be deceived anymore. Let's stop deceiving ourselves and lying to ourselves and tying all this stuff to our value. There's nothing to do. We can lose everything. Everything I have here in my small apartment. If I just lost it, it would be okay because I'm still me. And having this stuff is not me. It's not who I am. It represents the things that I've wanted, but not who I am. I'm a child of God. I'm a follower of Christ. And that's what I boast in now. That's what I want to boast in. I don't want to boast in anything else. I could care less about anything else. I could never get a house, and I'm going to be cool with that. I may never drive a Lamborghini, and I'm totally cool with that. I may never be able to buy a $3,000 dress, and I am totally okay with that. I'm so through with comparing myself to other people because I'm tired of being unhappy on account of comparison. I don't know about you, but I am tired of that. I am tired of comparing myself. I'm over it. I'm through with it, and I really hope that you decide to be through with it too, because it's not getting us anywhere in the kingdom. So, Father, tonight I ask that you give us the strength and the internal guidance to not be comparing ourselves to others all the time. Help us to be satisfied with the blessings that you've given us and not feel a need or want for more. Let us not be prideful and think ourselves better than other people. Let us not look down on others for their lack of physical things or money, things that don't even matter to you, Father. Let us not be selfish. Let us not have that selfish ambition to just want the things of the world. They are not of you. Help us to not act like mere humans. Help us to be more. Help us to be more in you. Help us to be consumed and on fire for you and nothing else. If nobody else, let us just keep our minds on you, occupied on you, on your blessings. Help us to see the world through your eyes. And you don't see physical things. You don't tie that to our value. Father, help us to see our ultimate value, our true value. Being a believer in Christ is the most valuable thing that we could be, the most valuable type of person we could be, somebody who follows you. Father, help us to see that. Help us to stop playing the comparison game. It's taking us so far off track. Father, help us get back on track. Help us to say to ourselves, I have all I need, and therefore I am blessed. I have all I need, and therefore I am blessed. Let that be something that we live by, knowing that we have all we need, and therefore we are blessed. We have equal value in your eyes. There is no one of us that is better or worse than the other in your eyes. You see us all as equal. No comparison. You do not compare us to one another. So, Father, I thank you for what you've given me. I thank you for the blessings that I do have. I thank you for all of it. Thank you for always meeting my needs. I need nothing more. I don't need what the world says I should have. And thank you for finally opening my eyes to that, because, Father, I'm so much happier now. And I really pray for that happiness for others. That happiness of being content with what you've given them or with what they have. Help them to separate their material possessions from who they are. Help them to just be happy. Fill their hearts with your spirit so that they can feel the joy and the love, which is all that matters. Everything else is a lie. And please help us to keep from being deceived. I ask for all this in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.